like I feel like we came up with this question like, yo, let's say somebody did something like, killed somebody or like uh rape somebody or something like that, right? And you know how we do testimonies, right? And like if somebody shared their testimony, like, yo, I used to do this, I used to do that, but I used to like rape people, used to kill people, da da da. Like,
Right.
would the church like celebrate with them, or would they look at them the way, like the same way that they from the place they came from?
Mm, that's heavy. All right.
What's up, y'all? Quarantine with Jesus. I'm here with Matt, and we got a special guest today, somebody who's been very pivotal in our childhood. Former youth pastor from our old church. Well, my old church, Matt's still church. Brother Kevin. Brother Kevin, man. How you doing today, man? It's an honor to have you in this podcast.
And I'm good, man. Thank you. Thank you for the praise, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Pastor, so you mentioned you were a youth pastor for a while, right? How did that come about?
Oh man. First it started. First, I didn't want to teach kids at all. I was like, nah, this ain't like I don't want to throw Matt under the bus. Matt, it's not gonna sound genuine, but I love all the kids, you know what I'm saying? But Matt and his siblings were always kind of like some of my favorites. But Matt was just active all the time. So you know what I'm saying? For me, it was like, yo, I can't do it. Like I do not want to be a youth teacher, a youth pastor at all. But the kids liked me. So it was kind of like I couldn't leave because they kind of wouldn't listen to anybody else. But it was really my wife. My wife is, you know what I'm saying, shout out to my wife. But it was really her because I didn't grow up in a church setting. It was real difficult for me to get acclimated to church because I didn't know what to do or how to be. You know, I was like, how do I teach these kids? I don't even know the Bible. But she would just be like, yo, just be yourself. So, I mean, then shortly after that, we became youth pastors, and it helped me be a better father, a better son, a better husband. So it was probably one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever done with my life, be a youth pastor at ALCC. Shout out to ALCC. You know, I don't go there anymore, but great church, great facility, great people, great families. Huge part of my life, helped shape me. So I'll always be indebted to ALCC for the person I am today.
Right. So you talked about how when you kind of first got into the whole church thing, it wasn't like you were like kind of nervous about like, how to fit in. Like, am I like can you like expand on that a little bit?
All right. So for me, the thing was I like church.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is you don't ever want to be churchy. You don't want to be one of those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I first, got out about God, I would try to tell everybody how good God is,
Mm-hmm.
but you overdo it. So I had to figure out, and it helped me be a good youth. I had to figure out a way, how do I spread the gospel? How do I tell other people about Jesus without coming off corny, without coming off as something that they heard before? So the biggest thing for me was I just had to be myself. I had to just use my life experiences. And for me, it worked out that way because to this day, to know that I have not to toot my own horn or anything like that. Forgive me for sounding, coming off a bit arrogant, if you will. But to know that I still have the same effect when I see any of my kids who are now, almost all the kids I used to teach are adults now. So to interact with them and they still like, yo, they still have that love for me, it lets me know that, I kind of did the right thing. You know what I'm saying? Or at least I was on the right track. So I just had to be myself. And it took a lot of prayer, a lot of patience. And I got to thank you guys, for that, because it wasn't always easy. Like it was many days. I'm like, yo, I don't do this. But you guys brought out a strength in me that I didn't know that I had. And till this day, I love you guys. I don't mean that in a churchy way. I don't mean that in a philosophical way. I genuinely love you guys. You know what I'm saying? I love the things that you're doing. I love the individuals that you are. And I'm always proud of you guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm just glad to be that you guys still remember old man these days. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm very appreciative.
Sheesh. Now you mentioned something about like, because honestly, I think if we're being honest, like that's even a struggle that me and Matt like have even today. Like, trying to preach Jesus without like coming across like corny and stuff like that. Like just trying to find like that fine tune. So I guess like the question I would ask is like, besides like yourself, like having like, like fear, because I think that plays a part of it, like all ourself, like having like a little bit of self-doubt. I feel like we coming across a certain way. Were there like any like external forces, like maybe like old friends that you felt like, like you felt like people were gonna look at you a certain way?
Oh, most definitely. I guess for me, for my family, I was the first one that really open about going to church. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely have friends like, oh man, like I know church, they try to do you or make you feel bad or oh come on, man, you one of those people. So the biggest thing was for me, instead of getting upset or instead of having that fear, one thing it forced me to do, it forced me to not only read the Bible, but it forced me to apply the Bible to my life.
Mm.
I was able to apply the Bible. It made it easier for me to just reach people. And it wasn't even like converting people. It wasn't about saving lives because that's what God does. So, but once I figured out how to apply the Bible, it made me talking about God, it made the conversation that much more fluid. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
A lot of people read the Bible, but they don't know how to apply it. And that's where, scriptures get jumbled and you get mixed messages and you try to adapt other people's approach when that's never going to work. It's just never going to work. You have to be yourself. You have to figure out what works for you. And that's part of the journey.
Jeez, apply the Bible. Can you mind spending some wisdom on how we could apply the Bible?
All right. So let's say, we know about the story, but all of them were discussing like, yo, how much tax do we pay Caesar, right? So they're all discussing. So they come to Jesus like, Master, you know what I'm saying? What do you feel as though we should give Caesar? And Jesus said, "Give unto Caesar what is due unto Caesar." Now, if you think about what that meant, a lot of people lose, the concept of what that means. So pretty much, if you think about the money at that time, whose face did it have on it? Julius Caesar, right? So since it has his face, he's like, pretty much, since it's already in his image, give it to him and give unto God what's unto God. So now you got a cross reference. Since the money is made in Caesar's image, you give the money to Caesar, right?
Mhm.
So what's made in God's image? We are, right? So you got to give yourself to God. Now, you were like, how did you get that from that? So I came to that realization myself. So I was like, instead of trying to conform and what do I think is right for everybody else to do? I just really had to trust God in that process. So I was like, God, I know what kind of person I used to be. Is that going to work? Like every Sunday, my prayer wasn't, how do I reach the kids? My prayer was, let me stay myself, but let me give your word. And it worked. So for me, it wasn't finding the right scripture. It wasn't finding the right parable. For me, it was just sorry about that.
Okay.
But for me, it was just more or less finding the right technique that came across genuine. Because that's what you really want to do. You want to be genuine when you preach to people. You want to be genuine when you minister to people. You want to be genuine when you're trying to, essentially, you're trying to save their life. So you just want to come across genuine. You don't want to come across judgmental or preachy, because you got to understand we're all fighting different kinds of battles. So let's say someone is of a different religion, or someone is of a different sexual orientation or a different cultural background. You don't want to come off offensive or too strong, but yet you want to come off in the context of you want to see where they're coming from.
Mm.
So worked for me, I didn't try to be understood, but I tried to understand everybody. And once I tried to understand everybody, as opposed to be like, you can't say, well, God loves you. He wants to save you. I mean, kind of everybody kind of knows that or feels that. But what I did was I let the other person tell me how they felt. We took it from there. I tried to establish a friendship first. So once that friendship is established, then we could talk about God. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of
Because
sense.
there's no connection, we can't talk about anything. You understand what I'm saying? So I tried to build a genuine friendship before I even bring God into the equation, because that's what God wants us to do. He wants us to bond first. He knows he knows who he is already. He doesn't need you per se to preach who he is, because that's going to get done regardless. But what he wants you to do, he wants you to build a relationship. Once you build that relationship with him and other people, then everything else is going to fall into place. I mean, it sounds weird, but that formula has yet to fail me. I apply it to everything. I apply it to my business. I apply it to, my interaction with my wife, kids, my family members that are saved, the ones that aren't saved. And that formula hasn't failed me yet. Focus on the friendship, focus on the bond, focus on the love, then everything falls into place after. Because who am I to judge you if you don't believe in the same degree or capacity as me? You know what I'm saying? You might be on fire for Christ. Right now, you on fire. You know what I'm saying? And me, I might be a little lukewarm, but at day's end, that you're a better Christian than me? Or does that mean that you deserve his love and salvation and grace more than? No, you know what I'm saying? It means that you're at a different life. So once you get past those judgmental, I guess, kind of aspects in Christianity, that's the biggest topic, because it's like, are you saved? You need to believe. When you make statements like that comes across real judgmental. When you should come across, brother, what's your name? What you like doing? You like playing Fortnite? You like playing Call of Duty? You know what I'm saying? You want to go to the, I don't know what you guys call it. We call it the chow hall in the military. I guess you might call it the cafeteria or whatever in college. You know what I'm saying? You might just need help with somebody and go to the gym. Keep it real simple. Then, you know what I mean? You don't want to come across corny. You just like, yo, you just bring it up casually. Yo, man, what you think about COVID? Yo, man, what you going through right now? Do you mind if I pray for you? Do you mind if I pray for your family? I just want to make sure that they all right. And once they say, yo, this dude is different. He just prayed for my family. He had no reason. Ain't nothing bad going on. Then you could build that. But if you come across, are you saved? Now you look like a Jehovah's Witness. Not that I'm knocking on Jehovah's Witnesses and that, but you don't want to come off like that, because that's very off-putting. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Well, at least that's the approach that worked for me.
I actually agree. It's something we talked about on the podcast before. And this is kind of like what like Quarantine with Jesus is based off of. Like the whole like, all sin is equal. Like there's people that have been through stuff and they're like afraid to come out because they're scared that people will judge them and stuff like that. But I remember we had this question on the podcast, and I want to hear your opinion on this. Like I feel like we came up with this question like, yo, let's say somebody did something like killed somebody or like rape somebody or something like that, right? And you know how we do testimonies, right? And like if somebody shared their testimony, like, yo, I used to do this, I used to do that, I used to like rape people, I used to kill people, da da da. Like, would the church like celebrate with them, or would they look at them the way, like the same way that they from the place they came from?
That's heavy. All right. See, now you got to be mindful of the heart of man is very judgmental. You understand what I'm saying? That's just how we are as people. So we got to understand, as long as we're in the flesh, we're going to be judgmental. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be very, very prejudiced when it comes to certain things. Now, sin is sin no matter what, right? But you got to look at the circumstances around it. You got to be fair. You know what I mean? Then it's justice. Now, if a dude killed somebody, is that a sin? You go, absolutely. But what if he killed them to preserve his own life? What if he killed them in the midst of, let's say he's a soldier. Mm-hmm. Now you tend to look at it differently. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm not to say it's good or it's bad, but just as people, we tend to look at it differently. Now, let's say a guy is convicted of, let's say, rape or sexual assault, right? Let's just say he was messing with an underage girl. You're like, oh, nah, son, wow, he a perv. But what if you found out the young lady lied about her age? Now you're like, oh, wow, that's a little different. But the act is still the same. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think we get too caught up in how we feel as though people should be judged. Well, God can use anybody. God has used murderers. He's used rapists. You can look in the Bible, you know what I'm saying, to see and feel these things out. But what you got to understand too is in church, I'm not identifying any particular church, but church as a whole, we as a Christian community are very judgmental. We just are. We're very judgmental. You know what I'm saying? If somebody doesn't pray like us, if they don't sing like us, if they don't talk about Jesus like us, we tend to say, well, they're not a very good Christian, or they don't volunteer as much as I do. I think a lot of people hide behind a lot of insecurities within church. And that's something that always bothered me, because my thing is, no matter what you've done, I don't have the right to judge you, because we all done something that we want to be forgiven for. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at it like that. You can dislike the sin within a person, but you can't dislike the person as a Christian. You know what I'm saying? You have to separate that. And that's something I teach my kids. I'm not upset at you, but I'm upset at the act. See, and I think within Christianity, we don't emphasize that enough. So when someone who is maybe, drug dealer, gangbanger, murderer, rapist, we automatically put them in this box. When in actuality, we don't hate them. We just hate the sin. But that's not even for us to give them that level of judgment. You understand what I'm saying? That's something that they have to take up with God. So if this person is you know, at a point in his spiritual journey or her spiritual journey that they feel like, yo, I feel like I can move on from my past. Who am I to stop? Who am I to place that level of judgment on them? So for me, that's a question that you have to sit down with God with, but it doesn't bother me what people have done, especially having been a police officer. I dealt with all kinds of people in all different walks of life. And my biggest thing is, you are not your actions. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You be class president today, but does that mean you're going to be a great person later on in life? Or you could, in the streets today, does that mean that you're going to be in the streets later on in life? That's not for me to pass that judgment or pass on my insecurities on you. My job as a Christian is to love you no matter what, to give you that support. And I may not be the greatest person to remember Bible verses, or, I don't have the greatest voice when it comes to praising God, but I take pride in loving people where they at. That is one thing that I know that's one of my strengths. I love people for who they are, not what they do.
Mm. You just mentioned something about how you came across a whole bunch of different people when you were like as a cop and stuff like that, right? So
Right.
I guess the question is, can you talk about like the relationship between you being an officer and like your faith? Like, has that like shaped like any experiences or any mindsets or caused you to have different perspectives?
Absolutely. As a cop, you definitely got to be on point all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because let's be honest, the general public doesn't like police officers. That's just, what I mean? Let's just keep it a stack. People don't like cops. That's just what it is. So with me, being a Christian actually helped. Being a you guys actually helped me, because when I would go to work and I would deal with youths most of the time. So because I've just finished preaching the word, I just finished praying all weekend, I just finished fixing lesson plans, dealing with all kinds of problems. So when I came to work, I was that much more prepared to be a better cop, because I had practice all during the week, praying and doing all sorts of things and activities and things like that. So for me, the biggest caveat for me was just like, yo, just be yourself, just try to help people. So I never had an issue like talking or arresting people, things like that. I've never had an issue with those things, because for me, my first action, my first responsibility is, how can I help you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be a servant. Now, it's hard sometimes because a lot of people, they let the badge go to their head. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm the man. You got to listen to me. Whereas me, I took more of a servant approach. Like, what can I do to make this interaction better for you? Doesn't matter if you was cutting school, doesn't matter if you was shoplifting, doesn't matter what you was doing. What can I do to help you? Because it's not for me to judge what you did. It's not for me to pass on any kind of aggressions or past experiences onto you. But my job is solely to help you. So being a Christian helped me out immensely. Maybe, definitely, if I had to point to one thing that helped me be a better cop, outside of being married, even that. I mean, it all falls back to Christianity. It really falls back on my faith, because the normal problems people would have, you would think that they would have, I never had, because I made sure my relationship before I started my day off with Christ was straight. I was like, God, whether I was in a bad mood or not, I was like, yo, help me be of service to whoever I encounter. So that was my whole approach. That's still my approach today.
Talk to us about like some of like your lows, like spiritually. Times
Ooh,
like, yeah.
ooh. Ah, we could be straight up, right?
Yeah, straight up, bro.
All right. Some of your lows, one of the biggest things for me was, I want to be politically correct because I don't want nobody to think I'm throwing jabs or subs. One of my biggest hurts in life came from leaving ALCC. And the reason why that was because certain other opportunities came up for myself and my wife. So when you have to leave a place that you love, you know what I'm saying? For me, I got real depressed. I got real depressed because you guys became a part of my routine. You guys became a part of my life. You guys are in my kids' life. My kids remembers you guys. So when you have to leave something like that, you get really depressed. And then you start questioning God. So in that process, life still doesn't stop. You know what I'm saying? So you would have, I would have friends that would get sick and die, or I would have certain things that would happen to me. And you start to question, you like, oh God, is this for me? Like, do you really exist? And you get bitter. You get bitter. There was a while that I stopped talking to God. I treated him like a dude in the street. I was like, I ain't got nothing to say to son. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't even talking to him right now. Like, he acting real wild right now. Like, but I remember what I said. And, sometimes you got to call yourself out. I knew when I was leaving ALCC, I gave myself this prayer, and it was one of the scariest, but the realest prayer ever. I said, God, no matter what happens, just keep me humble. And I think that God at that time was just seeing if I was going to be a man of my word. He said, word, you really going to stick with me? You really going to stick with me, Cav? Like, you really going to stick with me? I bet. So he gave me all these different challenges. And though I was mad at him, I just remember as yo, God, he never left me or forsake me. You know what I'm saying? Even when I went to the military, I was fortunate enough to serve in the military, and he kept me alive through those times. Even before the military, I was a little wild, you know what I mean? Fake gang stuff, you know what I mean? He kept me. I was wilding out when I first got married. He kept me. So each aspect of my life, he kept me. So who am I to turn? It's like, who am I to turn my back on the OG? The OG kept me through all of this, you know what I mean? The real big homie kept me through all of this. So I had to be a man of my word. I said, God, I would never leave you. I would never leave or abandon my faith. So if anything, it helped me become wiser. It helped me believe that, yo, you're going to have struggles as a Christian. You're going to get depressed. You're going to get angry. You're going to get bitter. You're going to beef with your moms. You're going to beef with your pops. You're going to hate the world. But it's in that adversity you find out how strong your faith is. Faith is easy when you're happy. It's easy on Sunday. Everybody dancing. Shorty in front of you that's looking real right in that dress. You're like, yo, I can't wait to get on stage. Yo, it's crazy. But what happens when you beefing with your moms? What happens is when that grandparent is sick? What happens when you get that one teacher that's just being mad difficult for no reason? Can you still pray and praise the same way? You know what I mean? So for me, I look at adversity as the opportunity. So I've kind of wired my mind over the years that I don't want beef, I don't want smoke, but when it comes, I look forward to the lesson that follows behind it.
Sheesh. You said something about like how God like, humbles you, how you want him to like keep you humble. Can you like talk about the how you really felt in that process? Like were you really upset when he was like in that process of humbling you and things of that sort?
Yeah. So you got to figure I'm in my 20s. I'm a cop. I'm in shape, not a bad looking dude. You know, I'm like, yo, I teach kids on a week. When you read the bio, that's a hell of a bio. This guy was in the military. He's a cop. He's a nice guy. So I felt like God didn't have a right to challenge me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, what's up with you? Like, yo, you really wilding right now. You know what I mean? I got real bitter, but entitled. I felt entitled to his blessing. Yo, me. My mindset was wrong. Though I was doing all the right things, I started serving. I stopped serving God. Even though I was at church every Sunday, even though I was praying, I wasn't serving God. I was serving me. I did all the things that I like to do. So when these things were happening, he was just kind of pulling my coattails. He's like, yo, don't forget who got you here. And sometimes you gotta check yourself. Sometimes you need people to check you to go, yo, yeah, we know you hooping. We know you got, quarantine for Jesus. We know all that's dope, but I gotta humble you. You gotta remember how you got here. There was a lot of prayers, there was a lot of sacrifice, there was a lot of opportunity that I saved you from. So it's like it keeps me grounded. So when people go, yo, man, this guy right here, he's dope. That's Brother Kevin. I love this dude to death. As much as I love it, I don't let it go to my head because it was never me. I was just the vessel that God used. So, so once I understood that it's not me, it's God. And I really believe that. And everything that I do is not me. My kids be like, Daddy, I love you. I'm like, it ain't me you love. I'm just a regular person. You love what God is doing through to you, doing for you through me. So that's how you got to keep it. You just got to mind yourself that you're a small part of a much bigger process. Like you gotta check your ego at the door. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's hard because you're gonna get that girl that come up to you, hey Keshon, hey Matt. You like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? What up? But then you have to be mindful that, maybe God is using me to minister to this person, or maybe God is using this person to teach me something. So that's how I look at every opportunity. What's the lesson to be learned? Because there's always a lesson behind it. So as long as you keep that in the back of your mind, it's going to make the process that much easier. You won't be as angry because anger is a part of life. It's a human emotion. But once you understand that it's a part of a process to make you smarter, to make you better, to make you more well-rounded, then it doesn't hurt as much.
Honestly, you said a lot, and it's just like I feel you 100%. Like I understand each and every word that you're saying, especially with me. You know, obviously I'm not in the best school, playing basketball, but it's like it's an opportunity, it's a privilege. It's like even moments like that, like I definitely be asking God, like, no matter how this game goes today, no matter how I do, like let this just be to your glory. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter how I do, like I have freaking 5 points or I have 18 points. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, it's for his glory and things of that sort. Like I really like experience like just being in I really experienced humbling situations, like I'm gonna relate this to basketball. Like I had games where I was like, I shot terrible, I played bad defense and things of that sort. And like, and it was something in the back of my mind every single time, just saying like, think of the bigger picture. Like, you never know, like if that bad game is gonna be the same thing you're gonna tell, like, you don't know, like a kid on the street or your own children. You know what I'm saying? Like how you had a bad game, how you held your head, things of that sort, bro. So it's like I really gotta remember myself just to like really focus on the bigger picture and focus on like what God has. Cause like we serve a big God, you know what I'm saying? We serve a big and mighty God. It's like moments like a little game. It's like a little puzzle piece in a big old picture. You never know. So
Most,
it's
most,
like,
most definitely.
yeah. And so it's like when I had those bad games, I remember like there would be times where I actually prayed. Like I was in the shower, like, showering, praying. I'm just like, God, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Just for this game, just for allowing me to just play my game and things of that sort. You know what I'm saying? Just focus on the little things. It may not be, maybe a bad game, but you're still alive. You still got two of your legs. You still walking clearly. You still running. You still
Absolutely.
breathing well. You didn't fall on the court. You know what I'm saying? Things of that sort, bro. It's always good to like be like, have gratitude and things of that sort. So it's really good to focus on the bigger picture and always remember that those humbling moments are there to keep you grounded for a fact. For a fact.
Like one of the biggest obstacles for me, just in my life, not even Christian, not even church, just in life. And is when, a few years ago with Timmy, you know what I'm saying? That bothered me. That changed me because I took that so personal. I took it like, well, maybe if I stayed in church, maybe had I not left. You know what I'm saying? Like I internalized it. Like it bothered me. Like I got really depressed. And as I'm sitting there one day thinking about it, and I was like, what did I gain from any of that pity? Nothing, just a bunch of heartache. You know what I'm saying? Just a bunch of anger. And when you're angry, you want to take it out on somebody. So one of the things that was so reassuring to me in that tragic moment was to see how close all you guys got. And that actually helped with my depression. That is not about me. This is what it's about. So I say that to say that no matter where life takes you, no matter what life exposes you to, though we may not talk every day, don't think for a minute that I stop praying for you guys. Don't think for a minute that I'm not, praying for Kaya, Maria, you know what I'm saying, Karan, you know what I'm saying, your parents, you know what I'm saying? Don't think that those small gestures, because your mom, Matt, was the first person to ever speak to me at ALCC. She's the reason why I stayed, because I was like, I ain't staying in this building. I'm one of the only Americans here. I'm out. But your mom came up to me and she hugged me. And I was like, yo, it's something about this lady. You know what I'm saying? So your mother will always have a huge part in my relationship with Christ, because who knows what would have happened had I not walked by her. You know what I'm saying? Will we be having this conversation? So I say that to say all the little things count. But just because we don't talk, don't think that those prayers aren't up for you guys. Don't think that that love is diminished, or don't think because I didn't like a certain post, like, oh, brother Kev ain't thinking about me. My first and foremost action before I teach these kids anything, let them know that I care about them. My methods were very unconventional at that time, but I think you guys got the overall message, and you guys believe that I did genuinely care. If you didn't, I'm telling you now, I do, I did, and I always will. You know what I mean? I love you guys, straight up, you know?
That's crazy. Like one of those moments. It's one of those things. I feel like everybody got the lesson. Like, but we were talking about this earlier this week. Tolu, Matt, Michael. I don't know if you remember Michael, or we call him Zozo. But we was
Yeah.
talking about this one moment where I think we had a conference or something, bro, and we had left the Savvy Lounge. Everybody was like we was all in the sanctuary chilling, and Sister Helen was sweeping, Then you came in there, you was like, yo, why my wife in there sleeping by herself? And everybody ran, and everybody ran and took the broom away from her, everything. Like, it was crazy, bro. But I feel like we got the lesson that she was trying to teach you. And it's just, yeah, man. Some good moments we had with you.
Yeah, most definitely. You get a little nostalgic. Sometimes you get a little emotional, but the biggest takeaway is that you guys aren't little guys anymore. You guys are men. You guys are young men. This is an extremely tough time. School is different because of COVID. Life is different because of COVID. And to see you guys not only thriving, but thriving within Christ, unafraid to speak about, you know what I'm saying, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. That's huge. You know what I'm saying? That's huge because there's so much going on right now. I believe God is an on-time God because I tried as best I can to help you guys understand that it's possible to be real and it's possible to serve God. You know what I mean? And that's all I wanted you guys to take away. But even if you didn't, and I just had an impact, I'm blessed for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm blessed for the interactions. I'm blessed for the lessons. You guys definitely gave me patience. Oh my God. You guys definitely gave me patience. So, you know what I mean? I'm forever indebted to you guys. You know, I give you your flowers now because you guys have made me such a better father, such a better husband. I wouldn't be able to have done that without my faith first and foremost. But definitely, you know, you guys played a huge role in me being the individual that I am today. You know, thank you. Thank you, Keshon. Thank you, Matt. I'm not getting teary-eyed or anything like that. Just throat is dry. But just thank you guys. You know what I'm saying? Just thank you. You're gonna have me going down memory lane, man. Come on now. I ain't come here for that.
Nah, chill. I really have just one more memory on my mind, bro. Like,
Oh my.
oh man, it's crazy because I remember. I'm not gonna lie, brother Kevin. I remember when you had the boys, you had us do like push-up sessions. You had us do push-up sessions, man. And I seen the way you do. I seen like the way you was doing push-ups, right? You was doing it with us, so I seen the way you do it, and you used to put like one leg over the other. Like ever since I just started doing push-ups like that. Yo, I just did a set like just like that too. It's crazy. I did a whole set like that just now. Like it's crazy. Like even like I even remember when it was you and Auntie Me. You know, like we was talking. You know what I'm saying, and things of that sort. And I remember one time, it was me and like another person. We had gum in our mouths, and like you used to like tell us to put gum in our foreheads because we was like so bad. And I was just like, yo, it's like little things like that. It's just so nostalgic. And you know what's crazy? Even though those moments sound crazy, you know what I'm saying? If youth pastors in there doing things with kids like that, I don't want to hear no type of like outside. I don't like because people, you know how Christians be. They be like, oh, he's so hard on the kids and things like that. Trust me, brother Kevin. I thank you and I appreciate you for everything you've done to us, from the craziest thing that we had to do, like the push-ups, to gum in our heads, to the yelling at us, things of that sort. It is definitely something that helped me. You know what I'm saying? Because it taught me that like there are people out there who are real and genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, cool. Your methods of going about, doing things may not be all like churchy. But you know what I'm saying? That's what shows the best fit. It shows like, we're believers. At the same time, we're human. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have ways of doing things. You know what I'm saying? My type of prayer may not be the same as your type of prayer. My type of worship may not be your type of worship. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the genuine. It's all about the heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like, like you actually like, I can't lie, like you was definitely like another father figure in my life for a fact. Like as young as I was, because I definitely have a father, like of course I have a pops, like you remind me of my pops sometimes because like he was in the military, he was in the Marines actually. So, like your way of going about using your authority and things like that. So it just always remind me of my pops. So it's like, I just like, just really appreciate it and think of that sort, like you just really been a big inspiration, just a big like, oh man, really coming, like I just really appreciate you, man, for a fact. For a fact.
Nah, man, it's as I've done a lot of things. You know, I've met a lot of generals, sergeants, police commissioners. You know, I've been a lot of places in my life. The most fulfilling place I've ever been was, you know what I'm saying, ALCC. Like I said, you guys, y'all gave me a run for my money. Oh my God. But it was a challenge that it made me better. You know what I'm saying? It made me really appreciate you guys. It made me see you guys. You guys taught me so much. Like there'll be times I'll be walking by in the park and y'all would just shout me out, yo, brother Kev, and if it was anybody else, you know, nobody else, you don't shout no youth leader, youth pastor, you just like, let's go so and so. You know what I mean? So to know that relationship that had that kind of effect on you guys, I'm beyond humble. Like I didn't know any of these things until you guys shared them. I just tried to be authentic. You know what I mean? Like I said, my methods were very unconventional, but it's nice to know that, you know, you got something from that. And that's beautiful. And that's what the relationship with Christ is like. It's not going to be the same for everybody. That aha moment, that spiritual awakening is not going to be the same. It may be very unconventional, but know that it is possible. So that's when I say, when you guys got to find your own way to reach people, stop looking at these YouTube videos. Don't be like Brother Kev. You know what I'm saying? Be Matt, be Keshon, be who you guys are. But in being that, focus on the relationship. Once you build the relationship, everything fell into place after that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, I know. Like Tolu, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Yo, oh God, you have no idea. But, and it may not be right to say you have favorites, but when I think about it, and it may not sound genuine, all you guys were my favorites because I could think about a moment that I had with each one of you guys that made me want to kill you, but at the same time made me want to hug you and embrace you. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys were just, when I thought you guys didn't get it, you guys did get it. You understand, if that makes any sense? I'm like, they don't get it. I'm like, I done prepared this whole lesson. They done talked all the way. But it took, for now, whatever today's date is, whatever this year is, I'm like, okay, they get it now. You know what I'm saying? And I can't take credit for that. As much as I would like to, I can't. You know what I mean? That's God. That's your parents. That's everything that everybody's ever given to me. Like I said, Matt, your mom's was like the first person to speak to me, yo. Like, but as far as Keshon, your moms and your step pops, like, yo, it was hard finding people you could talk to in church, like who were like you. So whenever I had a moment, I was overwhelmed, I could talk to them and they'll keep it real with me without coming off too churchy. So for as much as y'all got from me, I got the same, if not more, from you guys and you guys' families. So if anything, I should be thanking you. You know what I'm saying? I should be thanking you guys. And as histrionic as this may sound, you guys saved my life, and that's real. You guys 100% saved my life because I was in a real dark place before I came to ALCC. You know what I mean? So thank you guys. Thank you guys for making me, you know, anything good that I am in life is based on, I got to give God his credit, but it's ALCC. You know what I'm saying? God, then ALCC. I got to, no matter what transpired, why I left, I'm forever indebted to that place, forever, the rest of my life. So thank you guys. You know what I'm saying? Thank you guys so much.
That was different, bro. That was different. All right, so brother Kevin, there's somebody listening to this right now, right? Who's like in like a in-between place. Like they had like a rough experience with church and they're contemplating, like they kind of want to go back, they just listen to this to kind of encourage them to go back, but there's still something like holding them back. Like, what can you say to that person?
Don't allow church hurt to stop you from finding out who you are in Christ. Build that relationship with Christ. You know what I mean? Don't get caught up in how the choir sounds. Don't get caught up in the cliques in church, because that stuff exists. Don't get caught up in the old church ladies that always got something to say to you when you walk by. Oh, why does your hair look like that? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Why your pants look like that? Don't get caught up in all of that, because that's personal stuff. Focus on the relationship. When I focused on the relationship, it made church that much more enjoyable. It's not about the senior pastors. They may be dope. It's not about the ushers that may be dope. You're going to have your Miss Browns. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have your Sister Sharons. You know what I'm saying? Those people you're going to love to death. But it's not about the people so much. It's about your relationship with Christ. Keep that first and foremost. You might have a church, you're like, yo, I can't wait to see Brother Kevin. He better than any other teacher. That's cool, but it's not about me. So what happens when I stop going there? You gonna stop going to church because I stopped going? Just focus on the relationship. And when it gets hard, have people you could reach out to. But that's the tough part. You got to do your homework a little bit, because when you go to church, you're vulnerable. You just open up to anybody. And you open up to the wrong people sometimes. So, but the first person you should always go to is God. And God is going to show you the people that you could go to. He's going to show you the kids that's going to make you a better person. He's going to show you that woman or that man, you know, who's going to set you on that path. But you got to keep God first. As cliche as that sounds, you got to keep God first. That's all I tell you. If you're having a hard time, reach out to somebody. Talk, just be open and honest, but make sure it's a person that you can confide in within the church. You know what I mean? That's it. Just keep God first and just ask him to grant you wisdom. Once he grants you the wisdom that you need, you're going to be all right.
That's tough. That's tough. Now, you got any other thoughts?
I want to
go ahead.
ask you guys a question now. Just one question.
Yeah.
Having everything in life played out, however it played out up until this point for you guys, respect. Now I'm posing this question to both you guys. What's one thing that you would say in your Christian journey that you kind of overlooked up until recently? That's to say, like, what's one thing that you discovered about yourself with, you know, with COVID and quarantining and even starting a podcast? Like, what's one thing you realized about yourself that you didn't before?
Guess you want to answer that first, or?
No, I gotta take a minute to.
Nah, because it's crazy. Because like recently we had like a 21-day fast in the month of January, and like one thing I did was I asked God like to show me more about myself, and he definitely showed me that I need to be more intentional. I need to be more intentional, and I need to be, just a better servant. You know, like I sometimes think of myself before I think of like anybody else, when that's not true. That's literally not how Christ wants us. Like, he wants us to serve. He said, the greatest among you is your servant, You know what I'm saying? So I recognize that in terms of the intentional aspect, I have to be more intentional, whereas I be more intentional in getting in his presence, getting into the word, you know what I'm saying? Be more intentional in comforting one of my teammates or comforting a professor or something like that, you know? I just really learned that it really takes a lot to just really do what God called you and to like really have a desire for it. Because, you know, it's always one thing to hear something from God and to do something about it, you know? So I really learned that like, you really have to be more of a doer, more intentional, more bigger desire after God, and Yeah, just be more of a servant, whereas you think of other people before you think of yourself, because that's exactly what Jesus did on that cross. He thought of everybody else. He thought of me, you. He thought of the one listeners right now. And he suffered, rose again, and now we're able to talk about this. And yeah, just gotta be a better servant and more intentional. He definitely showed me that in this believer walk.
That's heavy. That's deep. That's deep. Very insightful. Okay.
One thing that I showed that God showed me on this walk, and it's like something that he constantly reminds me of, is that like the whole time, like even when I was doing my nonsense up to this point, God always wanted me. He always was trying to send somebody to talk to me. Like he would like this wasn't it wasn't like, oh, he didn't decide to talk to me randomly and say come get saved in the pandemic. Like
Right.
I look back, like the whole time, like times was like there was this one time I was skipping school. One of my friends, we left school early, right? And I'm chilling outside waiting for the me and one of my friends waiting outside the store, and this guy pulls up to me on the bike, and he's like an evangelist. You know the people that go and talk to, like,
Right.
he asked like, yo, he said, you think you're gonna go to heaven? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, he like, why? I said, can I go to church every Sunday with my parents and stuff like that? And then he was like, no. Then he showed me like the verse where it says like, all you gotta do is believe in God to like get saved. That's what makes you go to heaven. And that was honestly the first time I really learned that. And then he was like, yo, so like now you know that that's not the reason why like you're going to heaven. You're going to heaven because you accept Jesus. And just little moments, like those moments, like countless. Every school I went to, every different school, even when I moved here, like it's just God like just was chasing me, just putting people in my path. And then when I look back, bro, and we talk about this all the time too, because you said, so you mentioned something earlier about like, yo, you was wondering like, yo, did they get it, stuff like that. And it's crazy because we look back, like we all look back and we reminisce, and we look like, yo, bro, like, and now I get why they was wild in the church. Now I get why they was upset, why we sitting down during worship and stuff like that. Like now it makes sense. Like we get it now. And it just shows like the whole time God was like, you know, trying to get our attention. But for me, it just happened to be like COVID when we had nowhere else to run. We were just at home stuck. That for me, we got it.
The biggest thing, man. I can't emphasize it enough. I gotta say it one more time. Just thank you, guys. Thank you for having me as a guest. Just thank you for reaching out. Just thank you for not letting an old man think that his actions and his presence was in vain. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys. Just you guys got my number now. Albeit prayer, you just want to reach out. No matter what it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, just know that you can always reach out to me. You know, first of all, you want to reach out to God, reach out to your parents. But if you ever, there's no judgment. It never will be. You guys got my number. You guys can reach out to me. You know what I mean? Anytime. Doesn't matter. You guys just need to vent, need to talk, want to pray, want me to pray for you, want to pray with me. Just let me know, man. You know what I mean? Keep in contact.
But man, this was a great talk, man. As we close, man, can you tell us a little bit about Kevlar Fitness, man? How we could, you know, get into it like that?
Well, one of my I like to say I'm a hopeless believer in that, in the sense that I'm a super huge optimist. So one of the biggest things was I see that everybody likes getting in shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the big thing was I was like, I want to stand out. I don't want to come off too churchy, but I don't want like a bunch of half-naked pictures out there either. So what can I do? So I came up with Kevlar Fit. I've been pretty much in shape my whole life. But the biggest thing was I was like, yo, I need everybody to be not only in peak physical shape, but peak mental shape. So a lot of people think it's just a physical fitness thing. And I don't like the term personal trainer. I like to say fitness coach, because you train animals. You know what I mean? You coach winners, you coach people. So I get it for all intents and purposes. People like saying you're a personal trainer, but I really don't like the term. So for me, starting this brand was much bigger than wanting people to get in shape. I want people to be alive. I want people to be around. I want people that I can celebrate with. So whether I'm preaching the gospel about Christ, or whether they graduate school, or whether they just closed that business deal, or whether they just boosted their credit, they got that apartment, I want you to be around and be alive and be well, so we can all celebrate these things together. So for me, it's much more than just exercising. It's about fitness in totality, not just physical, but emotional, mental, spiritual, so forth.
How can we do you have like a Instagram page or anything?
Oh yeah, I am Kevlar Fit. I have all kinds of stuff up there. Most of the time, it's just not only fitness stuff, but stuff that encompasses my personality. Because the biggest thing that I want anybody training with me to do, I want you to understand me as a person. It's not about a relationship. So whether you train with me one time or whether you train, I want you to understand that our relationship is bigger than business. Our interaction is much more sense that I genuinely care about you. So I am Kevlar Fit. I know right now I got Nike apparel on, but if you need t-shirts, these, that sort of thing, sweatsuits coming soon, but it's much more just fitness. It's a lifestyle. And soon I'm going to branch out into something else. I'll give you guys a quick preview about that. I'm going to encompass life coaching. So whether you need your credit fixed, whether you need business credit, whether you need, somebody to mentor you, whether you need the personal training thing, but that's coming on later this year. Just know I'm transitioning from, there's always going to be Kevlar Fit, but we're transitioning to the next stage. We're going to cover everything you need. One-stop shop.
Bet. That's great, bro. Y'all looking at some fruit of his mentorship right here. You turned out great, man. And yeah, I just appreciate you coming on here. Make sure y'all go check out Quarantine with Jesus on Instagram and on TikTok, and go on quarantinewithjesus.com to share your testimony, or you could just go and read other people's testimonies. It's completely anonymous, so nobody knows what you said, who sent it, stuff like that. And we thank y'all for tuning in. Brother Kevin, can you close us out in prayer real quick?
Father God, I just want to thank you for allowing us to be in your presence. Continue to keep us safe, continue to keep us humble. But more than that, Father, continue to love us. Love us despite our inequity, our emotions, our temperaments, our moods, our personal feelings. Just continue to guide us, continue to keep us humble, continue to love us, continue to embrace us, continue to challenge us. Father, we ask that when these challenges come, when they arise, we know that they're not meant to distract us, but they're meant to strengthen us. Father, we know that the enemy has a hold of us. We know that he has a hold of our flesh. He has a hold of this physical world. But we know there's something that's stronger than all of that, and that's your love, that's your presence. God, allow us to keep preaching, allow us to keep reaching out, allow us to keep evangelizing, allow us just to keep singing your holy praise, Father. Just continue to just be with us in every aspect of our lives, not only today, not only tonight. When we forget to thank you, just be there. When we don't always see what you got planned, when we don't always agree with you, just be there for us, Father, because we know through you all things are possible. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.